weekend coming up in a couple days. But I just want to show you some of the areas that I'm looking at and show you the landscape's a little bit different than what we've seen with Rio and Utah and that type of thing. But just show you what areas we're working with down here. So, and just briefly, these areas that are circled, if you can kind of see my cursor, here are the areas where the most activity is reported. Those represent the higher mountain regions and forest regions. The lighter green is actually higher elevation forest. And some of these areas that are even lighter and even white-capped is some high alpine areas that we have. So we actually have ski resorts in Arizona, believe it or not. So Prescott, there's been some old sightings. That's not too far away north of Phoenix. Williams and Flagstaff, a couple hours north. This is, of course, the Grand Canyon up here, if you can kind of see the cursor. Most of the activity comes from either this corridor coming up through Williams, actually skirting up into here that's a little higher elevation. And there's a lot of activity. This is very remote access over here on the north rim, and it's not easy to get to. And you can only get to it either coming in from Nevada or coming down from southern Utah. And it's very remote. And there's been some crazy, not a whole lot, but a few crazy encounters up here, especially in this area right here. Again, higher elevation on the rim. It's actually pine forest all through there. There's a lot of water sources, and the snow melt will go down into the Grand Canyon, into the Colorado River. So if you look down here, though, Williams Flagstaff, so our biggest mountain is right here. It's an old volcano, Humphreys Peak. It sits at about, I think it's close to 13,000 feet or just under it. This is all pine forest around here, and this area, this whole high plateau that you can kind of see here, I'll zoom in on a little bit. This is called the Mogollon Rim, this area in here. So we have our version of Sasquatch. It's called the Mogollon Monster. So, and it's a total Sasquatch knockoff. It's just what the locals and some of the Native Americans called it. Some of the earlier sightings in the 20s, I think, is the beginning of some of the sightings. Anyways, this whole area is forest, and even though we have accounts down in some of the higher elevation desert areas, this is the bulk of the activity that's being seen, is all in this bigger corridor right here. So this is also a major migration area for one of the biggest herds, if not the biggest herd of elk in the entire western United States. Traverses down through here and into New Mexico. And I think at times they'll even get over into Nevada, but by and large they stay in this area here. Up here in the northeast, this is Navajo country, so massive Navajo Indian reservation all through here. It leads up to Lake Powell, Four Corners area up in Page. And this is all higher elevation, but this is there's not much vegetation out in this area at all. And so most of our heavier forest kind of resides in here, and it's a lot bigger of an area than you think. The Apache Indian Reservation, there's actually a few of them, all in this section here, ensures that it's pretty remote. Some of the best fishing and hunting, where we have a higher bear population and really good river fishing, happens around this White River area and some other areas nearby there. And this white area here is called the White Mountains, and this is probably overall our largest area of expansive wilderness. There's a lot of we get mountain goats up in there. We've got of course mountain lion. We've got several different breeds of deer. Elk, of course, come through here. One of our other ski resorts is right here called Sunrise. And so, anyways, this area up here, this is the higher alpine area. I've done a lot of camping. In fact, my folks live up in this area, and a lot of activity that's taken place. This is where some of the oldest reports reside, are all around here. But the area where the most reports take place is just north of this area called Payson. And again, if you can kind of see my cursor, it's along this rim area, this Mogollon Rim. Now I'm going to show you a couple things real quick. Let me zoom out, just to show you this off Google Earth, so you get a better look at the rim. But this whole area is the rim. Now the reason why this is important is this rim gets a lot of vacation and recreation activity all through this southern edge of the rim. A lot of people take their quads and their trailers, their campers, and go up there. Not a lot of hunting necessarily, but a lot of campgrounds. And I'll show you some of these pictures just so you can get an idea of what the landscape looks like up there, which is kind of why I left them up. So the area that I'm going to be going to over the weekend, I'm taking my nephews, we're going to be doing a little bit of research, is going to be on this back side of the rim over here. So there's these deeper river canyons. You can see all this drainage. This is all around 7,000 feet, this whole area, this plateau. An area in particular that I'm going to be going, there's two key areas. I'm going to go, in the future, I'm going to go to an area back in here, within these deeper river canyons. This is Clear Canyon, or Clear Creek Canyon, just to show you that you can see it's a good habitat, a good habitation area, and it's pretty isolated. You don't get a lot of people going back here for whatever reason. In fact, I'm from here and I didn't even know a lot about this area. But there's some really cool, the Sundance Canyon and these little creeks that converge into these canyons. And if you zoom into some of these areas, you can see that they have some really good elevation and access points and places for some of the topographical features and kind of local habitation sites and signs that we're looking for. But the area I'm actually going to be spending most of the time in, and then I'm going to keep this kind of short, is these little river canyons down here. And to show you what these look like, and I'll show you again some of the pine forest up here. This is actually, there's some decent trees up here. So these are ponderosa pine. You can see there's not a lot of undergrowth. Zoom in there a little bit. There's not a lot of low vegetation. So tree structures and blinds are going to be still found there, but they're going to be used a little bit differently, and some of the nesting sites are used are done a little bit differently, just to kind of make up or compensate for the fact that there's some of this that's missing in those lower areas. If I can show you some other, you can see there's some good elevation, good draws. There's a lot of little creeks and drainage. Some of them are very seasonal, but we're in our rainy season right now, and so this is actually pretty lush and pretty green right now. Area that I'm looking to go back into, which doesn't get as much activity on this back side of the rim, is this these little drainage creeks that go back into this area called Blue Ridge Reservoir. Let me show you a better one where it looks a little bit more like it does today. You can see there's a lot of pine tree, and you get even out of some of our ponderosa pine, you get into some of the better vegetation that leads right up to the water and right up to the bank. So it's a good area. A lot of sightings. Apparently there's a big rock. But you get a ton of elk back in these areas. So this whole area, this is because there's less people on this back side of the rim, you get more activity. And this is where the elk love to go through, and they're there in abundance right now. So this is a great hunting area and a lot of water that we're going to go check out. So anyways, more to follow soon. Looking forward to coming back to show you some tree structures, and maybe we'll get some audio, a few things, so a couple days. Anyways, until then, I'll sign off. Here's the rim. You can see it off in the distance there. That's the front lip of the rim, and there's still incline after that. And if you kind of look, and it spans all the way across, you can see monsoon rain coming in, but you can also see that giant plateau that's up there. Hopefully that didn't make you all want to throw up. So anyways, we'll get up here and kind of start to check things out. One other real quick piece of advice, very interesting thing, maybe I'm the last one of the party on this, but one interesting thing that I found, and it was actually because I called the Forest Service because I was just asking some general questions about where I was going. And one thing that I discovered, because I was trying to look at, rather than just printing off Google Maps or just having a big giant map, and I'm kind of a map guy because I used to be in the military, but I didn't want something so big and clunky. And what was interesting is that there's an app you can download, and it works on iPhones, and it also works on Android devices. But it's called Avenza, A-V-E-N-Z-A. It's the Avenza app, and what it allows you to do is to download really high quality maps. And there's a bunch that can cost money, but all the ones from the Forest Service or the National Forest Parks, boundaries, roads, all that are free. And they're super high resolution, and they're far better marked than anything I'm even finding online. And you can customize the route that you're going to take, and it even has a little distance. It gives you a grid point right where you're doing it, and it gives you, you can kind of measure the distance of a completely customized route that you're literally drawing, or that you can literally draw on this PDF copy of a map, and it just can sit on your phone. So even if you're you know, assuming you have battery, it's always good to have some kind of a backup hard copy. But if you are using your phone to film and you need to check a map now and again, it's a really useful little you know, piece of technology that I'm excited to use. You know, I have a normal compass and all that, so I'm not going to rely completely on technology, but it's a great thing to show me what the Forest Service roads that are up there, old logging roads. It has all the elevation and points where water is at. So there's a lot of really useful features on it, and I can use it without having any signal. That's the best part. So should be very interesting. And anyways, I'll check back in here in a little bit. Just kind of literally in the time I've been talking, pulled up into one of the first little areas of the mountain town. You can start to see some of those taller ponderosa pines. That's a very common thing here, and into Colorado and New Mexico as well. Very similar type of landscape with in the mountains. So I'm not even to the campsite yet, and I look up on the side of the hill and look at this very strange stack of wood. And there was more than that. You can see that it's fallen through against these two rocks, which gives a perfect overlook down into a wash area and down to the road there. My car's over there. And right nearby here is, and this is what made me stop, because I only saw that for a split second, but what made me stop was not an immense tree structure, but right here, this tree lean right here. And the reason why it made me stop, but there's mushrooms all over the ground down here with all the rain they've been getting. So this tree's obviously been pushed over here. You can see the root structure, but it's notched right into that big ponderosa up there. But this little one that's near it, no stump, didn't come from here. So really close to the campsite where I'm going. Here's one tree lean. That tree, I already lifted it up. It's not from here. That's rot. It's not a stump. It's been there a while. But then you look over at this. So look how that giant log has fallen. Again, that could be natural, but there's a whole bunch of other trees up against it that are not. So let's go check it out. So my guess is that this long skinny one right here, it's not from here. And just by the abundance of these all leaned across these logs. That's so yep, it's rot, but it's not from here. It's too heavy for me to lift either. See, I wouldn't be able to move it if it was still stuck. Or you at least hear debris breaking. That's just a bunch of rot right there. Pine needles around it. And that's big. That's a big tree going way up there. So that's the tree break that I came from, I think, right there. Yeah. An important thing when picking your campsite, obviously, is you want some visibility. You want some cover from the elements, potentially. This is good. It has a little bit of a ridge behind us, so again, natural places for things to hide or come through, but it gives us some good visibility. 360, car over there. Most importantly, though, is if you are fortunate enough, they're not easy to find, I'll be honest with you, but if you can find a wild woodland toilet, I don't know who left this here, but it's probably somebody who comes back to visit. It hasn't been here that long, but that is just a box of wood with no bottom and a toilet seat fixed to the top. And that is an almighty throne. I'll bet you it's been put there by a Sasquatch. But what is actually kind of funny about that being here is look at all this crazy weird tree hangs back here around it. Maybe something's pissed off. I don't know. Anyways. Alright, I got my little my hooch set up there. The campsite's pretty much ready to go. Got some wood that's been drying since it's been raining, so I'll have a good fire pit here for later. There's a little bit of a rise back up in here, back behind my car there, and back up this way. And then also, this is a really shallow draw, some thick brush. Just giving you a 360 here. It's a really cool area where we're at. And then there's a hilltop back up in there. So I'm surrounded by water from basically where I'm pointing the camera all the way around to about here and down the direction, you know, probably about 2 miles, maybe a mile and a half back behind where my little hammock hooch is set up is the reservoir that I'm trying to get back to. But a few trees over, I found a really strange kind of a, I don't know, a Y-shaped notched like old log that was like shoved into the base of a tree, or around the base of a tree. So first of all, look at these tree breaks right here in front of me. You can see this one because of the sun. See the height of that? That's got to be at about 9 feet up, 8 feet up. There's another tree break right next to it, this small one here. This giant log right next to it looks like it's absolutely been obliterated, as if, you know, something came in to start looking around for, maybe for, you know, grubs, or right down this very gradual decline. That's down towards the campsite, and if I'm looking, I could see, if I had a campfire and I was up here, I'd be able to see it at night down this way, kind of down there. And we're down in there where you can see a clearing down there. So that's a good observation point up here. There's tons of cover. There's multiple tree breaks right next to each other here, which are strange if you look at them. There's 2 right next to them. I can't tell. There's a few, looks like they might be tree bends here, but those could be completely circumstantial. I don't know. It is oddly quiet, and there was not nearly as many tree bends earlier, and now that I'm looking in here, there's tree bends everywhere. Right through here. You can start to see them. No, you probably can't with the phone. But there's a handful of these small. The larger one right here. Oh, here's that weird notched branch that was at the base of it. Didn't come from here. Some random sticks laying next to it, and it's all by these other tree bends that have taken place. Several. It's crazy quiet in here. And this is really close to where I'm camping. It might be a long night. But if you look around, see all these here? Now, we're coming up on the end of summer. And look at all that. Oh, I think I found my first tree structure. First upright tree structure in this setting back here. That's probably hard to see with all the shadows casted because of the late sun. But look at that tree structure right there. And this is right up on top of a knoll. Look at all the, I don't know if I would consider this a wallow, but look at all this tree fall right here. I had a feeling about this place before I came in here. And I'm having it more so now. I'll pan kind of slow here, but look at this tree structure. That tree's upside down. All these tree breaks back here. Look at the height of them. And all this deadfall all collected in one spot like this looks very much like a wallow. the occasional fly. And we're just really not hearing a whole lot back here. Look at these tree bends right there. The tree structure right there. To be honest with you, it's a little sketchy because it just, even when I came back here, it just had a different feel back here. I haven't heard anything, but I've also not heard anything. But just look at all this deadfall here. See how all the wood there has been stacked between trees bent over. See these tree breaks? Look at that. That is a thick tree. That's not a small little sapling. That's a thicker pine. And look. Maybe not super recently, but you can see that something's bedded down or sat down. It might have been several days. Certainly wasn't today or last night. But with the recent rainfall, if nothing had been laying down, this stuff would have sprung up, because you can see some of this buffalo grass back there that's standing more upright, just because it hasn't been sat on. But all this huge deadfall back here. Big logs stacked all down through here. And this is right on a hilltop. Alright, so I did a tree knock. A really loud one. It was way louder than I thought it'd be. Found this really raw piece of wood from that big old log that was busted up. It echoed forever. And I was just kind of getting the willies a little bit, so I started walking back down towards my campsite. About 5 seconds ago, just heard a big old tree break. So I'm listening closely. Go and look at it. I just swear I've been hearing things just outside of earshot until that tree. That was very deliberate. That could be an elk. You know, I could have startled it, but strange that it came right after the wood knock. So we'll see. Talk to you soon. There's some freaky sounds going on. It's too early for coyotes. I'm sure you won't be able to pick it up on the phone. It's not super close, but it's like howls, like yips and howls, not like a coyote. All right, so listen. It's major gunfire, and it's coming from down where that yelping was. I hope that's not related. But I swear to you, I just saw something run down there or move. Could have been an elk. But if there's anything between here and there, I could flush it right up my way. America. Don't worry, I'm packing too, so.
The pine needles are around it.
That one's upside down, the big one.
But the funny thing is that there's no tree to fall from. I mean, that fell, maybe. We can go check that out.
Big one, but oh yeah, that could be from that, but still, it wouldn't have done this.
No way. And if it fell from that force too, this thing all would be gone.
And there wouldn't be this other one that fell. It just doesn't happen in those triangular formations. Yeah. That's that twisty tree too.
There's another bend right there.
Yep.
Where's that twisty one? Right there.
Tree trunk. And all this. Look at all these. All just watch them come up and look at them. Just look at how the stacking is.
So we got these trunks right here, kind of corner off right there, come over here, and if you look over there, there's another, wall, if you will, and then look over there, it's kind of another one. So we're talking about how it's possible that these Sasquatch will use this kind of as like a fence, and it looks like it's like semi-natural fall, but at the same time it looks like it's just been totally cleared out. And then we've been seeing 8-9 foot tree breaks a little bit farther down here.
Go back by that log that we saw. The dead spot like the last wallow. Check this out over here. Look over here on the stack on the log.
Watch your step.
Just a lot of matted down pine needles, really mashed down. You have some over there that looks like they've been one running around, and it's across these other ones, so it's created. And look, it's created right across this little natural peeping area, right? But look, this is the part I'm talking about. First of all, look over there on that log. But look at right here, just in front of us. Look at the wood stack there.
Oh yeah.
It's right here.
So we got left and right. And there's some that are just hanging on the right.
I've really been thinking about how maybe that can be some sort of, not necessarily.
Yeah, there's so many. Look at. I didn't even look at this one. Look at this one push. This one tree push right into the notch of that other tree too.
Okay, there's like, we're never gonna get out of here.
Looks like there's way back in there too. Probably 100.
Just came across this one.
Pushed over from
We just came from way over there. It's that wallow originally. So we came in this little ravine and then back up this hill. And Mike found this one.
one of these trees. If you look up more neatly, this is
I might describe it.
one of these trees was pushed off its own stump. The other stump is not here, I don't think. Nope. And that thing's wedged.
So one stump comes around and it's wedged in between the two trees.
Yeah.
And we've got another one that doesn't have a stump and is also wedged between the two trees.
And I'm wondering if that's supposed to be a big X
Maybe 3 trees. 1, 2, 3.
or like a double X kind of a thing from this angle. If you look at it this way.
So what's the significance of the X's?
It's believed that it's pretty universally believed that the X's mean stay out, or they're like a turn back. And they don't know if it's from from one squatch to another or something like that. Even if it was up at the same point, that's almost 6 feet. I'd say 5 feet, 6 feet, 5.5 feet. So that tree could have naturally fallen, I suppose, and these trees were already bent and it just landed on them. So Mother Nature's done weirder things for sure, but it's very suspect, especially when you're next to something that clearly is not Mother Nature over here. Because
Found a couple other beauties. So we got this guy. Hooks right on top of that. And you got this tree that goes over another tree.
big coverage down there too.
Let's see if I can get closer. So see how they start to come together. That's the starting, that's lean. And that's the one way over there. That's crazy.
Being able to sit right through here, and this would be a massive. I've already seen a ton of deer and even elk, scat. This would be perfect. And look at the regress points that it has. Blind, blind. There's a nick there too. Total hot hopscotch areas, but look at this.
See multiples.
You can make heat
there, one there. Probably less than 30 seconds.
That's what I was like.
What? So this just fell.
But that's root, so that's not a big giant.
Not fell, but it
branch-
was placed.
branch offshoot here.
This is ridiculous. Come look at this.
Wow. Doesn't look like anybody's making a home out of it, but can't say for sure. Doesn't look super comfortable.
We found several different tree structures.
So here's where I believe the canyon starts. Miller Canyon, is that right? So the draw comes down where Mike's at, empties out into the sun might be in the way. Well, they're all pointing that direction.
Yeah, look at this. This did not come from here.
At all.
Not
Not
from
from here. Not from here at all.
Fun splicing all the video together.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to have you guys send all your stuff
So we got this tree.
to the Dropbox.
This tree right here comes up and it breaks right here, but then there's this other branch right here that carries it all the way over there. Accidental. What's interesting is that we've been following this this game trail, and there's a lot of these overhanging rocks right here. It's perfect for like ambushing. You got plenty of hiding space here, so it's almost like if there were any Sasquatch or even just regular hunters out here, this is a good little trail to follow. But then you've got these little markers, these little checkpoints, if you will, to kind of show where the trail is and where to follow it. It's so crazy. Broken up tree. Looks like someone made a trail out of that too. But yeah, this like easy little game trail. If there's ever deer or elk that come through here, you've got this awesome just overlook where you could hide or where you can just attack from above. And this is all around too. What'd you find?
A leg bone that's been splintered and the marrow's been taken out.
Whoa.
But it's been splintered, look. That's been cracked. There's still heft to that, feel it. You can feel how solid that bone is. So that wasn't like
Oh, dude,
easy
yeah.
rot. That's like, I mean, it's oxidized. It's probably been out of a body for a little while. But that was broken open. And there's other animals that'll do that, but that's a sturdy bone. That's not like a little rib bone that a coyote would try to suck.
Okay, so the rock's up there, but I wanted to show this first that we stumbled upon. What is going on here? It comes out like this way, like toward the camera. Then it comes out, flattens up, and then pushes back for this tree to lean upon. And that's more impressive. There's this guy too. So, not that, it's the one to the left of it. Weaves in between this knot right there. Comes across the front of this tree and down.
Jeez. Yeah, there's another one right above you too. Crazy. So this is another blind right here. Dude. Ambush. Keeps going right there. You can see that. Either side. All these overhangs. There's little stick piles. That is crazy. That game trail continues right there too. You can see the little divot right there. Boom, boom, boom. Straight on through. Ambush, ambush. Same thing on the other side too. Oh, tree structure.
back down to the wash here. Just say how beautiful this is. I mean, it's no Seattle green, but what'd you find?
I mean, I don't know. That's a print, though. I think that might be a little print. Hey, Mike. You see that? Heel, toes. Hey, come here.
Sure. Toe box. Looks like the heel drops off. See that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, right there. It's going up.
Yep.
Come look at this one over here.
It is. Oh my gosh.
Get a good angle of that. You may have to get multiple angles because phones have issues. Dude, that's almost castable, and it looks like.
So
Come
this
check out
this
the
is
back.
kind of a slope right here, but
Watch
you notice like little,
No, I don't want to hit it.
there's little ridges, almost like where there could be toes.
Almost like one came up and went like this.
That's easily like a size 14 or so. My shoes are a size 12, and it's bigger than my shoe. It's getting like there's the toes up here, farther down here, and then there's a big divot right here where the heel was. So it's like it's running uphill. So that's where Zach found another one. Let's go see.
One theory, Rio kept finding really long, narrow ones that he felt was like a younger male. Place to look around is when we're getting such defined prints and the mud is exposed. It's the place to find stuff.
So we'll keep looking. Here, Zach, explain what you found.
That's crazy. Well, Mike came across this little tree line. This is right across the road here.
Yeah, we're right on this trail.
This tree did not grow here. And look under there. There's no roots.
No roots at all. Placed.
No roots. Check it out.
So that goes up. So we're right at this convergence spot, right where the Miller Canyon, right here, meets the East Clear Creek. You can see there's still some standing water. Definitely as the season goes on, it'll start to flow more when there's more snow for sure. My last couple photos when we were down in that ravine, that canyon, that's what this kind of empties out to, but in the opposite direction. So we had gone up this big hill, this big clearing, and then found one of the trails, and then just took that all the way over to where this convergence is. So we had to go down this big rocky terrain right there. It wasn't too bad. But we were able to see when we were way up there, right, we can see just across this river area the trees and stuff that were in between other trees, and very, very similar to what we've been seeing this whole day.
This when, if there's any flash flood action happening or whatever, this thing will fill up.
Yeah, no kidding. Whenever there's, I would think even whenever there's just snow, melting snow for sure.
And this is all deep holes where the elk would kind of punch through.
Oh, live elk coming through.
You might even get a rare, depending if this, how, I mean this stays marshy the whole way, but this is moose like this kind of area too. A lot.
Huh. Well. So eventually we'll probably head back up the canyon area, make our way back home. It's deathly quiet too. Besides the gunshots.